So how many knives do you actually need? We're going to be looking at that question and more on today's episode of Knife AQ number 211 of the series where I answer all your questions, sharp or dull. Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here, coming at you from the Knife Center, and that's Thomas behind the camera as usual. Welcome to the show. The show is the FAQ, which means, I guess they're not always frequently asked questions, but it's a question and answer video anyway. If you have a question, drop it in the comments section below. Perhaps it'll get featured in a future episode.
Technically, one is a frequency.
Yeah, I don't want to talk to you right now.
Too bad.
I know. I can't avoid it. Anyway, first question today comes from Wishing9Wonder. Bit of a long one, but a cool one. Hello, DCA and everyone behind. Just everyone behind.
I'm a frequency.
Yeah. I'm Korean and headed to the States, Alabama to be specific, for school this fall. I've been binge watching your videos for a good month and so far been loving every bit of it. Keep up the good work. Keep watching. Knife and bushcrafting culture is almost non-existent here in South Korea, nor are most knives even legal to carry. So I must take this opportunity and ask, what knives would you recommend to a complete newbie who's already an adult ready to dive deep in this culture? First I say, welcome. Another one falls to the siren song of the steel. I love it. I'm planning to get a Mora Canibals, an Ontario Rat 1, and CJRB Pyrite Light for my first three. However, is there any other suggestions you might add? Being budget friendly would be preferable, but it would be fun to watch you guys go nuts and bring out something crazy prestigious. Thank you all. I haven't gotten something crazy prestigious on the table, but I got some cool stuff here to talk about. And I gotta say, that trio, it's a pretty good cross-section, quite honestly. For covering the most with the least, kind of shows you might be able to do everything with 3 knives. How many knives do you need, right? We were talking about that. But the Canibals is a phenomenal knife from Mora. Honestly, it's actually probably my favorite Mora. The handle on them is supremely comfortable. It's neutral, so it works left or right, any kind of grip you can throw at it. And the blade is a great cross-section of what a lot of fixed blades out there can do. You've got the Scandi grind of the Mora, works great on wood, carving stuff, bushcraft you mentioned. This is a phenomenal knife for that. And yet it thins out here at the tip, so it's a little bit slicier because you've got less shoulder or less steel in the way behind the Scandi bevel right there. Better slicer, better at like hunting, that sort of thing. And it's thin enough that it can be just general use. Phenomenal knife. You can get them for about $40 these days. Maybe I should have opened my tabs, Thomas. I didn't do that. $45 for the standard versions. This one comes with the additional fire steel and sharpener on the side. These are a bit more expensive now. They're in the like about $75, but still very cool. Awesome fixed blade. The Ontario Rat 1, great knife. Phenomenal, time-proven knife. It's about $40 for the stainless versions right now. So it's pricier than they used to be, but you still get a lot of knife for the money. 3.6-inch drop point blade, versatile enough, proven to be durable thanks to the full-length steel liners here, 4-position pocket clip. It's a great knife. And the Pyrite Light, one of the noteworthiest knives of the last couple years on sheer value. This is one of the more expensive versions with the Damascus blades, about $66. But these start around $30 for these. So crazy, crazy good for budget with spray form steel, that RPM 9. Different blade shape than your other folder right here. Nice and thin, so it's decently slicey. And I think between the two, like if you want a heavier use folder, the Ontario Rat can do that. But it's not crazy thick in the blade either. This can still slice pretty decently. Got the fidgetiness of the button lock, of course. Very modern feeling, very cool. What else would I recommend? Honestly, I would almost say nothing. But I will have one thing for you here, because that's a great trio. But what else? And rather than additionally, I'm going to replace one thing here, just as something to look at. If you still set on these 3, though, go forth and be merry. It's a great combo. Maybe we can open up a little bit more difference between the 2 folders right here. Now we can do that either by going like lighter use than the Pyrite Light or going heavier use than the Ontario. But I'm going to go lighter, slightly lighter usage case potentially than this, because honestly, there's nothing preventing this from being just a good EDC knife. Yeah, it's a little heavier than some modern EDC folders, but the geometry is not so thick that it's going to get annoying at just basic slicing, package opening, boxes, and that sort of thing. The one thing I'd say you might be, quote unquote, missing from this trio is something a little older school, like a traditional folder, a slip joint perhaps. A gentleman's knife, perhaps, something a bit more formal feeling. And yeah, there's Damascus here, but plastic handles on the Pyrite Light doesn't exactly feel premium, if you know what I mean. So a gentlemanly slip joint with an old school flare is what I'm gonna offer you as a possible alternate to the Pyrite Light. And I'm even gonna give you something that, cutting experience wise, is gonna give you something kind of similar. The Rosecraft Clinch River slip joint right here. It is a sway back handle, but you've got a Wharncliffe blade with a finger choil, kind of just like the Pyrite Light. 3.07 inches on the Rosecraft cutting edge, a little bit less than the Pyrite Light, but hey, $55 for this. The fit and finish on Rosecraft's slip joints is very, very good. You've got D2 steel, which is less interesting than the RPM 9 or the Damascus for that matter, for sure, but very reliable stuff, really cool blade shape, classy looking handles with the black dyed bone right here, and you can choke up and do finer tip work just like you could with the Pyrite Light. The snap on these is excellent. Like I said, fit and finish is impeccable on these guys, especially for the price. A little bit more expensive than any of the least expensive of the other three options, but I think well worth it. That's something to consider anyway. Let me be, if not the first, amongst the others to say, welcome, have fun with the knives, go out, have fun doing cool things with them.
And study, I guess.
Yeah, you should do that. That's why you're here primarily, I'm assuming, so keep at it. I love it, man. I guess he learned something from watching videos, because the three he picked, even without my suggestion there, it's a really good combo.
Or he did study and he was just studying you.
Maybe he was testing me. I hope I win. Now, next we come to Damyr's Buried Treasure, where we're going through the alphabet, picking a brand from each letter, and showing a knife we've never shown on the channel before, thanks to Damyr's original question several weeks ago. It's the second time we're running through the alphabet, aren't we? Today, I want to talk about Dexter, primarily known for kitchen knives in the modern era, but Dexter also owns, and I'm talking like Dexter as in Dexter Russell, should have mentioned that, they own the Green River brand, which the Green River Hunter is a classic. Like, this is a classic frontier trade knife, essentially. I've always known it as the Green River Hunter. You hear it referred to in, I believe, like Kephart's or Nessmuck's books, actually, talking about the Green River knives. This is what they were talking about. We actually have it listed as the traditional fish fixed blade on the website, but like I said, I've always known it as the Green River Hunter. It's about $26. You've got a 5-inch carbon steel blade, thin, like hunting and trade knives of yore, and a simple wood set of handle scales on that full tang blade. Doesn't come with a sheath. This is something, though, that especially with the the demise of old hickory knives out there, this is a great knife to get out there and get started with like traditional outdoor knives. It's also a great knife to take and modify, do things with, give it a new set of handles, play with the blade shape, modify that a little bit, make a sheath to go with it, have fun. Awesome knives. I'm glad these are still being made. And that's Damyr's Buried Treasure for the letter D today. The Green River traditional fish knife, or the Green River Hunter. Check it out. I like it. Feels good, man. It's slicey. Great all-around knife, whether you're hunting, food prepping, carving wood, doing traditional woodcraft stuff versus like bushcraft stuff. You'd have like bigger choppers and axes and stuff, so you wouldn't really need a heavy-duty knife usually. Anyway, well, now we come to the lightning round for today. One question only. 23432 asks us, sorry if this should have gone with the last FAQ vid. don't remember when you asked this, so I'm sorry. How can I either remove or repair the black coating on a blade? I was a bit loose with stropping and some of the black coating is gone near the edge. I prefer the silver look, but I also love green micarta, and many brands only pair that with black coatings. Help! I have an Essie here. If this is the type of coating that you removed some behind the edge, this is fairly simple to remove. This is basically just a powder coat. Pick your favorite paint stripper and that will take this stuff off, no problem. One thing I like to do, because I've done this on knives like this before, I'll usually either tape off or leave the scales on, but tape off the area underneath the scales and remove all the rest of the coating around it. That way, when you slap the scales back on, you've still got that bit of coating just underneath the scales. It's cool on a carbon steel blade like this for kind of helping keep rust from, or water from getting in there and sitting on the steel and letting rust form. That's a cool thing. Other coatings, if you're dealing with like a Cerakote or a DLC or a PVD coating, you've already discovered the only way to kind of take it off, and that's through abrasion. You can sand that stuff off, but I don't know of anything that, some of those aren't something that can be removed. They're baked in, essentially, to the steel. And if you're dealing with something like this Lion steel right here, this is the T5, this is just a black stone-washed finish, which is basically a forced oxidation. You can't strip that off either, but you can remove it through abrasion and cleaning. One thing I haven't tried, and I'm wondering if anyone in the comments section has done, I wonder how stuff like Barkeeper's Friend or other kind of like oxidation polishers or removers for metal could work. I bet you could polish through a black stone washed finish, but it's not a coating. Anyway, let me know if any of you guys have done that in the comments. I'm curious. Anyway, now we come to our final question of the day, which is of course our most seriousest question of the day, which comes from Jeremy 2. What top 5 knives would be worth the most to trade with if you ran into a tribe of cannibals while stranded in the wilderness of a foreign land? We got to come back to the classic Mora over really anything, which is what Mora stands for. Here's my reasoning. Because they're so inexpensive, and yet they feel like they're so much more than they cost. Therefore, you're getting the most bang for your buck in trade from the primitive Canibals right here. Something like this Canibal would be earth-shattering, quite honestly. And that would be the easy answer, but I'm going to take it a step further and go with the companion Spark right here. Not only do you have an awesome carbon steel blade, grippy handles, but you've got a fire steel right in the handle. Sure to up the wow factor and get you the most bang for your buck and hopefully keep you out of the cook pot, if you know what I mean. And top 5, just 5 of those. That's my answer, and I'm sticking to it. But that's all we've got for today, folks. Keep your questions coming. Keep your most seriousest questions coming as well. That's how this video series keeps going. We rely on you. Don't fail me now. If you want to get your hands on any of these knives, or if you have any alternate questions or alternate answers for these knives, drop them in the comments below. How about our Korean friend coming over with the 3 knives he picked? Would you change any of them? Would you add something to the 3? Let me know below. And to get your hands on any of these, links in the description will take you to KnifeCenter.com. Where don't forget about our long-running Knife Rewards program, because the least thing we can do when you buy one of our knives today is give you some free money to spend on your next one. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center. That's Thomas behind the camera. We're signing off. See you next time.